Hey there, Ian here, and great to be with you once again. Now, if you've read or listened to any of my previous videos, you will know that we put a great emphasis on continual learning. Learning is vital. It's one of the things that the competition can't touch. Your competitors can't touch how much you learn and how hard you work. Nothing can influence that apart from you. So learning and continual growth and development is vital if you want to accelerate your performance and keep ahead of the competition, keep ahead of the game. So whatever you're doing, make sure there's a rhythm and a frequency to your continual learning and development. However, there is another component of accelerating the growth of your business that we must not forget. But before I get into that, let me introduce a guy who many of you may know or be familiar with if you are interested in basketball, particularly basketball in the United States, which is probably the biggest league of pro basketball. But college sports in the US are almost equally as popular as the professional game. College sports in the US is big. Now, many of the college football stadiums or stadia have a higher capacity than the professional stadia. So it is very popular and extremely competitive. Now, the team, the UCLA Bruins, was coached by a guy called John Wooden. And in a 12-year appointment as the head coach at the UCLA Bruins, John Wooden won 10 championships. 10 national championships over a period of 12 years. And I think he went 7 in a row. I think that streak was a record-breaking streak of 7 consecutive championships. Now, John was a very humble man, a very, very quiet man, but one thing that he was famous for was starting the season, and remember, there was a high likelihood that these were the reigning champions. He started the season with many of those same players that had won the championship the year before. He started the season with a 90-minute workshop on how to put on your socks and shoes. But you're thinking, hang on a minute, these guys have just won the national championship and you're telling them how to put on their socks and shoes. Don't they already know that? Well, think about this for a second. Think about either your personal life, your family life, your business life and the rhythm in the office. Have you ever thought, oh, we used to do those things and we found them very good, but somehow we don't do them anymore. That was great, but somehow we've lost that rhythm and we don't do those things anymore. I'm sure that I can certainly bring cases to mind from our family and personal life, but also my business life. I can think of those examples of things we used to do. They were good, but somehow we've forgotten about them. So those are things that I like to call fundamentals. The fundamentals are the rocks on top of which you put on the new learning and the new growth ideas. Without those fundamentals, the new ideas have no foundation. So with Coach John Wooden, why did he go back to the fundamental of putting your socks and shoes on? Well, maybe it was for 2 reasons. The first reason is that if you don't put your socks and shoes on properly, and I think they use some sort of soap. In the old days, they put on the soap so the socks didn't rub your toes. But with basketball, you're changing direction quite a lot. And if your socks and shoes are not on properly, that friction can give you blisters. If you have blisters, you don't play so well, and you may be out of the game, and maybe even the next game, because your feet are so sore and you can't play properly. So getting the right fit for your socks and whatever special lubrication they put on your socks, getting them on, fitting properly, getting the right tension of the laces around so that your feet are secure, that prevents you getting blisters and damaging your feet. Reason number one. And I guess reason number two is probably to bring people back down to earth. Okay, you're the national champions, but don't forget, don't get too big for your boots. Don't let ego take over. Let's get right back to the fundamentals of how we play this game. So the practical side of not damaging your feet, and number two, bringing people back down to earth and making sure the fundamentals are in place. So in your business, don't forget those fundamentals that got you to where you probably are now. Have a look at maybe the last year. Are there any things that we used to do that we found useful that we don't do anymore? If they really were serving you well, bring them back and make sure that they firm the foundation to put on the new things. Hey, I really hope that made sense, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.